Hello, flute players. Welcome to your week 5 video lesson. The first thing that we're going to do, as always, is make sure that our air and our lips are working very, very well by playing on our head joint. We have 3 different notes that we know. Remember, we want to cover this hole with about a quarter, cover about a quarter of that hole with our lower lip. You should be able to feel that edge with our lower lip right there. And then you're blowing not down into the hole, but across. Across the hole will work. The 2 songs that we found that work really well with the just the head joint are Flowers by Miley Cyrus and Soda Pop. Believe it or not, it works very, very well with the notes that happen to come out naturally. So please pause the video and go play on your head joint one of those 2 songs or another one. Pick one, whatever one you want. And go ahead, unpause, and put together the full instrument. You'll know your instrument is put together correctly when your tone hole right here lines up with all of these buttons. Not these 2. These are the 2 offset keys. Okay, but that tone hole is going to line up with all of these buttons. And then all of those buttons, that straight line, is going to line up with the rod on the foot of the instrument. So this rod lines up with all of these keys right through the middle of the circles. Once you have your instrument all put together, let's review the notes that we have in our book. The first note that we have in our book is F. Okay, go ahead and review. It's going to look like this for you. Where to put all of our fingers. Thumb, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pinky. However, for F, we're just going to use thumb, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. This is what an F sounds like. I was actually stuck on the low note like this for just a second. If that happens to you, try to use a little bit faster air, but especially what's going to help is smaller lips. The next note that we have in our book is E flat. This was the tricky one, if we remember. So your first finger will be up, your thumb will be down, but your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and right pinky will be down. So this will be E flat. Remember, our pinky will be down. Then, D natural, the next note that we have in our book, our pinky will just, right pinky will be up. For D natural, here's E flat, D natural. So D natural has our pinky up. Now, these are actually some of the more tricky notes because you have to play a lot of these keys and you have to press a lot of them down. The next note that I'm going to teach you is lower than D, but it's actually going to use way less fingers. It's actually only going to use 2 fingers, and that's going to be your first finger and then your right pinky. Your right pinky is going to be there for balance. So again, I practiced doing this carefully, but you should be able to balance your whole flute with your right pinky pressing down and your thumb pressing up. Okay, be careful with this. I don't want to drop any flutes. But if you're holding this with your pinky, then it's free for your fingers to move around freely like this and do whatever they need to. Okay, so make sure your pinky is down here, your thumb is holding it up, and then your first finger is down. This is the note C. It is just your first finger. I'm gonna be totally honest, the fingers aren't the hardest part, it's just holding the instrument for this note. So make sure, pinky, that is what's holding the instrument, and play C. Please do not try to hold the instrument with your left hand at all. If you do try to hold the instrument's weight with your left hand, then all of your other fingers will be out of position to play all of the other keys. So you don't want to, mess up your hand position just for this one note. So that's why we have our pinky down here. That is the note C. And finally, the last note that we're going to learn, this is also the last note that's on the page 5 of your book, is going to be B flat. That's going to be played with the first finger and then this thumb key. Now, if you use this thumb key, the one that's a little bit wider, like a rectangle almost, that one is going to be B natural. That's not going to sound correct for us. We want to make sure it's this one, the one that's a little bit more circular. That's the one that I want your thumb to be on. So when we say thumb on, that means your thumb should be on this key, not this one. So thumb should be on the circle key, not this one. Circle key, circle key, circle key. Okay? If your first finger's on here and your thumb is on here, then you can add your pinky for balance, and then this will be a B flat. Okay, so now we know 5 different notes, starting in the order that we played them. F, E flat, D, C, that's just your pinky and your first finger, and B flat. Now, you may notice in your book, they actually have a different fingering for B flat. So that B flat is first finger and fourth finger with this thumb key. For me, that's an extra finger, so that actually makes it like harder. I don't know why the book uses this fingering, but this is what it sounds like. And here's what our fingering sounds like. I'm switching between them and they sound exactly alike. The only difference is because it is just adding this extra finger, which I don't want to use, at least when we don't have B naturals in our music for right now. So our 5 notes are F, E flat, D, C, and B flat. Please take out your 5th grade band warm-ups. And let's look at letter A. The first note in letter A is B flat. So now we're going in kind of reverse order. We're starting at the lowest note we know and then going to the highest. So let's go through the fingerings right now first. B flat is first, and then we rest and measure 2. Then measure 3 is C. That's just your first finger. If you want to take out a pencil and write down 1 on measure 3, because that's just first finger, or 1P for 1 and pinky to help you balance, feel free to do that and pause the video at any point. Measure 5 is going to be D. That's going to be basically E flat, but without the pinky. So pinky should be up for this one. Then measure 7, we just put that pinky right down for E flat. Then measure 9 is going to be F. Our left index finger, the first finger is going to come down, and then these 3 fingers on our right hand are going to come up for F. Let's go ahead and play warm up A. Feel free to pause, restart if you need to at any time. I want to make sure that you're getting a solid practice at a tempo that's a good speed for you. This tempo is 80 beats per minute. Here we go, ready? Warm up A. And 1, 2, 1 and 2, B flat, and go. Ready, C. Measure 5, D, and pinky up. Measure 7, pinky down. Measure 9, F, and. And that is all of letter A. Congratulations. This is going to be the first thing that we play at our very first rehearsal. It's going to be the first thing that we play at most of our rehearsals in 5th grade, just because it's a great warm-up for all of the instruments, okay? It's not perfect for flute. I'll give you a better flute warm-up later, but this one's really good for all of the instruments when we work together. Please look at letter B. You will notice letter B is the same notes as letter A, but there's no breaks in between them, and there's 2 notes per measure. You'll notice a whole measure in letter A. A whole note is that circle. The whole note takes up the whole measure. The half note, which is a circle with a line, that takes up half of the measure. So if the whole note gets 4 beats, the half note will get how many beats? I feel like I'm Dora the Explorer. 2! It should be 2 beats for a half note. So here is letter B, the exact same fingers as letter A. You can write them in as reminders if you need to, or rewind and practice this a few times. If you cannot play letter A, please practice letter A a bunch of times, then practice letter B to move on. Here is a letter B. 1 and 2. 1 and 2, letter B, and go. And that is letter B. If you need to review any part of this video, I know I kind of went fast at the end, but feel free to replay this a couple times until you can play those two exercises, letter A and B, at those correct tempos. Don't be afraid to go slower or redo it or need to practice it. That is the point of these videos. All right, have fun practicing.